Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the best centers in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM here on this tier list. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 16,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, just under 300 subscribers away from that 16K mark, trying to hit it by the end of December, and I honestly think it's very, very plausible to do so. So would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. We're going to start off. Well, I only have about like 17, 18 guys on this list because I just don't think there are that many great centers right now. The center position doesn't have a ridiculous amount of depth. I could have thrown in some of the lower overall guys, some more amethysts, some rubies and stuff, but there just aren't that many great centers. So I just didn't. We're going to start with Dwight Howard, though, who honestly among these 17 guys is one of the worst. He can't shoot, and he's not incredible size-wise either at only, what, 6'10", maybe 6'11". Dwight can't shoot the ball. He's fast, but he's also not a ball handler. Defensively, he's great, but a lot of the bigs on this list are pretty great defenders. I don't think Dwight is all that high on this list, and I think among these bigs, he's definitely in the D tier. Jonas Valanciunas, I think, probably would go low B or high C among the best bigs in the game because he does shoot the ball solidly well. He's got silver anchor. I think he's a pretty good, pretty versatile center. He's not horribly slow. 74 speed or whatever he has isn't great, but it's not awful. And then his release isn't bad. Like, he can hit on open three with consistency for sure. So he's a decent pick and popper. He's a pretty good defender with okay athletic ability. Not the slowest, not an insane card, but not bad either. I think B tier is probably fair, and I think B tier is probably fair for Bobby Portis as well. Honestly, a pretty similar card to Jonas. He's a little bit smaller, maybe. I mean, they're the same height, but I think Jonas' player was a little better. But also doesn't have anchor, whereas Jonas does. But Bobby has more Hall of Fame badges. He's a little bit better on the interior offensively, or at least arguably. And then as a shooter, I'd say he's better off catch and shoot, claymore, corner specialist, and a really, really smooth, easy to green release. So I like Bobby Portis. I think he's a really good card, and I think he's B tier. AD is great at both power forward and center. At center, though, I think he's legit S tier. I mean, I may only have, I don't know how many S tier guys I want to have on this list, though. I'm going to be honest, I don't want to have very many. So I'm actually going to put him in A tier because considering how many good centers I have on this list, I think Embiid's probably like the fifth best center in the game, realistically. Really, really good card for sure. Little tiny bit undersized, only 6'10", but he does stretch the floor pretty well. With a shoe in D'Antoni, he can timing burst. The only flaw with the card is the fact that he doesn't have clamps, but at center, that's not that big of a deal, I guess, unless you're matched up against Giannis, and even then, make him shoot. So at center, it's less of an issue that he doesn't have clamps than it can be at power forward if you're matched up against guys like LeBron and other shot-creating guys at the power forward position. With that being said, I mean, AD can stretch the floor. He defends really well. He's a great card. Not a lot of flaws. A couple small ones. Not the biggest, but overall really good card. I just think there's a couple better centers, honestly, including D-Rob, I'm sorry, who's definitely better. No doubt about that one in my mind. I think D-Rob is 100% better at center than AD is. D-Rob is a better shooter than AD, in my opinion. Better release. Defensively on the interior, a little bit better as well. Can also time burst with the ball in his hands. Speed-wise, they're about the same. Honestly, pretty similar cards, both impactful defenders, but D-Rob at 3 inches taller, I think is better suited for that center position. A little bit stronger on the interior defensively and as a rebounder. So for me, although rebounding-wise, I'd say they're actually pretty close because D-Rob never seems to rebound quite as well as he feels like he should. That is always his one kind of flaw for whatever reason. He doesn't never feel like a great rebounder. But regardless, he's still S tier. Still probably the best center in the game, in my opinion, and definitely a really, really good card. Sabonis can kind of shoot, but he's slow at only 68 speed. I think he's the slowest center in this list, or at least one of the slowest. I think he is the slowest, actually. And he doesn't have anchors. He's not a great defender. He doesn't really have any sort of playmaking ability. He's mainly just a guy who can kind of catch and shoot wide open, but honestly, I don't love his release, and defensively he's not great. His best attribute is that he's 7'1", but yeah, just doesn't do it for me. Giannis is incredible. Diamond or Pink Diamond really doesn't matter. They're pretty much the same card. Both of them. Best defensive card in the game, probably, at least arguably. In addition to being a capable enough shooter when you're wide open. The Diamond can get every shooting badge, obviously, which helps him out. But the Pink Diamond does have a higher mid-range rating, a higher steal, higher standing dunk, some other nice stat boosts, and a couple badge boosts as well that are nice over the Diamond as a base card. Both incredible, though. Both S tier for sure. I only included one on this tier list, but this Giannis signifies both the Pink Diamond and the Diamond, and is definitely S tier. Another S tier, 3 in a row, Hakeem Olajuwon, I do believe is probably the second or third best center in the game after D-Rob and maybe Giannis. I do really love Hakeem. His release is really quick this year, much improved over the last couple years, to be completely honest, which is one of the things that I think has made him a lot more rewarding than anticipated. And he can get every single badge, which I think is a huge W. Really, the only thing he can't do is play make, kind of a low ball handle rating, but he's an elite, versatile defender, great on the interior, has clamps, can guard the perimeter pretty darn well. Really, really good all-around card. I feel like he's a little bit better as a rebounder than a guy like David Robinson. I think you could make the argument that Hakeem is the best center in the game, but for me personally, I think he's probably the third best. Really like the card a lot, though. Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably going to be our C tier option for this. Not insanely fast lane, 79 speed, decent three ball, but not insane. He does have Honf Anchor, which is nice, but he doesn't gigantic, although his player build is okay. Pretty good. He's a good card at center for sure, but I don't think he's like great. I think C tier is definitely fair. I think Embiid would go B, a little slow. One of the slowest cards in this list at like, what, 73 speed, but he does have Hoff Anchor, Riser, Rise Up, Masher, Rebound Chaser, like a bunch of good interior Hoffs on both ends of the court, and he can shoot the three ball pretty well. So he's a big center with good badges, okay, solid all around stats, and he can stretch the floor. And I think the badges really are the cherry on top for sure for Joel Embiid that makes him as good as he can be. I think Kareem gets the last S tier spot at the center position. If I'm going to have four guys in S tier with how many cards I have on this list, it's going to be Kareem as my fourth S tier guy. At 7'2", you just can't put a value on the size that he has. He is the biggest center in the game, and I do feel like personally, he feels like the most dominant inside center in the game, the one that stand and dunks the most, the one that gets the most interior rebounds and mashes. In my opinion, Kareem is the best inside center in my team right now, which kind of negates the fact that he's not the most elite shooter and also doesn't really have any sort of shot creation ability. A 63 ball is good enough with Kareem to hit pretty consistently, especially if you have a shoe and a couple of badges on that. Definitely can make it a lot easier to hit with consistency. I really like Kareem, though. I think he's an awesome card. Still my backup center currently, and honestly, I'm not totally sure if I'm going to get Hakeem or not right now. I'm thinking good chance the answer to that is probably no. So if that's the case, Kareem might be my backup center for the foreseeable future. I don't think KG can go S tier over any of the guys that I have in S tier. I wouldn't take him over any of them. I think he and AD are great. I like the fact that KG is a versatile defender. I like the fact that he can stretch the floor and can get every badge, but he's also not an incredible playmaker. He's not quite as big as anybody in the S tier, and I think everybody in the S tier has more value at the center position for one reason or another. D-Rob, better shooter, better playmaker, a little bit bigger. Giannis, a little bit bigger, way better playmaker, just as good defensively. Hakeem, better release, a little bit bigger, a little bit better rebounder at the 5, and then Kareem just much more dominant on the interior, even if he can't stretch the floor quite as well and doesn't have quite as much versatility. He's also like 3 inches taller and much larger player build. So to me, I'd rather have all the guys in S tier than KG. Great card, no doubt. I think he's definitely S at power forward. I think he would be S if I had more cards, I guess, at C tier. He'd probably be my 5th guy if I had more cards in this tier list. But for now, we're going to put him A tier. LaMarcus Aldridge, probably not D tier. I actually kind of like the card. His release is nice, and he does have, like, I think Silver Anchor or some sort of interior ability. He's not as bad as I kind of expected this card to suck when I saw we were getting this week, but I did gameplay with him, and I was kind of impressed. Not horribly slow. He's slow, but he's not awfully slow. He shoots the ball quite well. Good release. Not the most athletic, but he's okay-ish defensively, and he's not tiny. I mean, I kind of like the card. C tier is pretty fair, I'd say. Jokic stinks. He's probably D. I'm not a big fan. He's just small. Not small, but he's not big. He has Hoff Limitless, but his release kind of stinks. He's not a shot creator, and he doesn't defend at all, and he's slow. So for me, I think he's actually he's the slowest card in this list. I'm pretty sure it's either him or Sabonis, and yes, it's actually him by 5 speed. So that does not get the job done. I will give Rudy Gobert the benefit of the doubt because of how big and how dominant he is defensively on the interior. I think Ty would be proud of me that I don't have Rudy in D tier. As much as I don't like interior bigs, I mean, he is a really impactful defensive card. One of the best defensive cards in the entire game for sure, especially on the interior. Feels very big and kind of affects the game in a way like Rudy in real life kind of can. I think he's better than the guys in D tier. I'll give him that. Shaq and Wilt are tough for me because I don't know where I would put them. I almost going to move. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move Embiid up to A tier, and I'm going to put Shaq and Wilt in B. That's what I'm going to do. I think Shaq and Wilt are basically the exact same card, which is why I put them together in almost everything back to back. I always just say Wilt is the slightly better version of Shaq, in my opinion. Slightly longer wingspan, slightly better free throw shooter with a better free throw release, slightly better mid-range shooter, and his takeover is defensive take versus Shaq having slashing take. So, in my opinion, despite Shaq having a slightly better player build, as a whole, I think Wilt is the slightly better card, but they're basically the the exact same card. Incredible athletic defensive centers who are great on the interior offensively as well. Just can't shoot a lick. So to me, I think V tier for both of them is fair. Tim Duncan does not get that benefit of the doubt, though. He doesn't have the speed and versatility of Wilt or Shaq. He doesn't have the size of those guys either. Also can't shoot a three. Although he's a better mid-range shooter, I still think he's one of the worst centers on this list. And he comes in the D tier. And actually, this tier list winds up being symmetrical for once, which is kind of cool. We go 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. So that's actually kind of nice for me in my OCD brain to have it all line up properly. So I'm sure that makes a couple of y'all out there happy as well. But that is good to do it for this video. I hope y'all did enjoy. Let me know if there's anybody I missed, because I didn't include that many centers. If there's anybody you want to hear my thoughts on and where they would rank, feel free to leave a comment and let me know, and I'll let you know where I put that card. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.